bit of detail that is being provided. And the lower you come to the last one, which I'm going to mention now, is operational type of communication. Where now it says who's going to do what, how are they going to do it, and when are they going to do it. It's very operational. It gives you the detail as to if you're going to make tea for how many people. Are we going to use grandmother's China tea set, or are we going to use the mugs, so to speak?
That's right.
So when the father of the nation comes out to speak, the one who's going to make the tea, he said, but he never said which tea set we are going to use. And then there's discontent there. But all that the president might have been coming to tell the people at the time is to just tell them that there will be a tea party.
That's right.
Be ready, and it's going to be on such and such a day. These are the things that we are taking into account. We're taking into account that some people don't drink tea, they drink coffee. Some people, they just drink water. On and on it goes. So that's the kind of information that is going to set the agenda for the tea party. And then we move from there. Yes, yeah. So in the end, for me, there is a kind of a thing that needs to happen. The sweeping that needs to happen before the president speaks, maybe a few hours before, a few days before, to say, these other things are out of scope.
That's right.
Yes. Because if you go back now to this state of disaster, there has been two major parts of communication. The first one is the presidential address. The second one is the ministerial address, where the ministers then unpack what is going to happen. And then the ministers are the ones who then also update us as to whether we are off the mark or we are on the mark on these things. So I would love to pick your brain even further in terms of saying, what is it that we could do as ordinary citizens to actually meet government halfway in the state of disaster? Because communication is not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. I'm sure there's something that we could do, either as the leaders in business or ordinary citizens in this game of communication.
Well, first of all, everyone is frustrated. Everyone is anxious. You know, everyone is irritated. Everyone is disengaged, most importantly. Because I've had many conversations around what's happening, you know, the communication, how government is doing things wrong and all that. But I have particularly noticed the anxiety around what is happening. Not even the government doing anything wrong, but when you are anxious, you need to blame somebody for your anxiety.
Exactly.
Because you can't be anxious alone.
Exactly.
You know? So for me, I'm like, okay, we are anxious, we are irritated, we can't do things. I mean, I'm a business person. I'm not able to operate. You know, courts are closed, but I am literally anxious, and I'm saying, how do we balance this thing? So because of that, there has been a disengagement. And when you are disengaged, you don't want to hear something that you don't like.
Yes.
That's the first thing. So the society at this stage is disengaged. They want to go back to their normal life. They want to trade. And there's all sorts of reports about people being poor and that poverty is going to kill people instead of the virus. So the question is, how do you balance? And the public opinion, of course, is very influential. And we need to understand that. Public opinion is very influential. It can even convict the government itself. But the good thing about Cyril's leadership is that he has been consistent in saying he's got a responsibility to actually protect the entire citizens. He doesn't have the responsibility to select a certain number. And when you argue as a public member, you are not coming from that position. Your job is not to protect people's lives, you know, to limit people's freedom, you know, to limit people's right to trade, most importantly. So all those mixed emotions disengage people, and it's not helping. So what I would suggest for the public is that do not disengage, rather converse. Let's have a conversation that says, if you want to blame government, where did it go wrong? Come and converse. Let's have a conversation. And Cyril has been saying that I am open for people to make representations. I am open for people to submit, you know, and this is the advantage that people don't want to take, but they want to engage in social media everywhere, but they will never engage the president directly by submitting their concerns.
Is it a sign of how young our democracy is? Because many people in the build-up to 1994, they thought that, wow, now we are free. In isiXhosa, they say, meaning like now we can relax, everything is going to be okay. Isn't that a false expectation? That in a democratic society, everybody has to work and everybody has to read and everybody has got to understand policy so that in the end they can be able to interpret and then do the engagement from a position of knowing.
The refreshing thing is that the people who are actually making these conversations have got access, which is why they are starting these conversations. So for me, access means you can engage to the extent that you are informed. And when you are informed, you've got the power to now engage and influence. So I've heard arguments like, okay, I'm arguing here in Sentin, but I'm arguing for someone in Alex, right?
Yes.
Someone in Alex doesn't have access to 1, 2, 3, but you've got access. You are a citizen. You want to influence positively that we need to comply, because the more we comply, the more relaxed the rules are going to be. It is not about defiance. You know, we cannot be in a spirit of defiance, because defiance cannot build compliance.
Exactly.
These are opposites.
There's a thing for me around this word called compliance. Let's take the smallest form of organization and government, this thing called marriage, or even dating for that matter.
That's right.
Do we have to comply there to fit in? Is compliance important?
Well, compliance is important to a certain extent.
Yes.
And the word compliance may sound very instructive, you know, and very limiting.
Yes.
But
yes.
in a light interpretation and a simplified interpretation is that compliance relates to rules. Do you know
written
the
rules? And unwritten?
That's right. Do you know the rules? Can you follow the rules? Do you understand why?
So in the end, why would I need to comply in this dating game or in the marriage situation? What is in it for me?
Because you know the rules. And you have a chance.
Yes.
You know the rules that it's a tit for tat. It's a give and take. That's the first rule.
So I have a benefit to gain by being in alignment with my partner. So I'm changing the word now from compliance to alignment. So when we are in alignment, even when we go to a restaurant, we look at things, we look at people, and we laugh without exchanging a single word. Because we know what we are laughing about. We know what that person reminds us of.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Alignment.
Yes, there is a kind of alignment that exists between the smallest form of organization of 2 people, and sometimes even when it grows into a family of 4 to 6, that's what you see.
That's right.
Even a first family in the context of the USA. Recently, I watched a documentary on the Obamas. In fact, it was Michelle Obama's book on belonging. On becoming. There, it was fascinating how they were running their family from an alignment point of view, aligning with their history, quoting that they come from a slavery kind of background, and they are not going to entrench slavery with the staff in the White House as they engage with them. They will probably have a much more humane kind of dealing with them. And I want to sort of steer our conversation towards not a compliant society, but a society that is in alignment with its government in the face of the disaster. How do we achieve that?
Well, you see, the issue is around attitude as well. If we agree, if we are aligned, let's use that way. If we are aligned in respect of what is going on, what is it that is going on? If we are aligned that there is a pandemic at this stage, that's tick box number one.
Yes.
And secondly, if we are aligned that the government now is in leadership in respect of directing us how we are going to survive or how we are going to carry on during the pandemic.
Yes.
That's tick number two. Then now, the complexity becomes when we say, okay, for government to be able to direct us or to lead us, they need to formulate some sort of rules, more formalistic rules. And this is where now there is no alignment, because the formalistic rules are created from a more democratic and a more constitutional level.
Yes, yes, definitely.
The person who is formulating the rules is directed by the Bill of Rights, mostly.
Yes.
Because there are rights that are conflicting with each other. He needs to balance them. Someone says, I've got the right to freedom. I must move around whenever I want.
Yes.
I've got the right
tobacco business has got a right to profits.
That's right.
And there is nothing illegal about smoking. Therefore, we should unban this thing called tobacco or cigarettes.
That's right. And someone else says, I have a right to trade, you know?
Yes.
And someone else later on, when everything is happening, if the government could say, okay, let's go out there tomorrow, someone else is going to say to government, I've got a right to access to health facilities that are decent, you know? And government is going to be having to balance these rights, because that is what exactly they are doing right now. They are trying to say, which right comes first? Someone is going to say, I've got a right to life. Therefore, if you can't give me access to healthcare, I'm going to die.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So how do you do it now as a leader that you balance all these constitutional rights? Of course, you've got to limit some of them.
Yes, definitely. And the word draconian sort of lurks in the background as I am listening to you. But I want to take us back a little bit to that point whereby the citizens accept that government is in leadership, that government has got their interest at heart. Isn't there a thing called trust there that will be regulating that kind of situation?
A what?
A trust.
Yes.
Can it happen without trust? That thing that you described, that everybody is in alignment with government, and they are in alignment because they've ticked one box. We have a constitution, we have got government leadership, and therefore we need to align because these people that are in leadership have got our interests at heart. And I'm introducing the word called trust, and I'm saying if the trust is not there, it's almost impossible. That's why even in that small organization I was talking about, I have seen situations whereby a private investigator has been hired to investigate the partner because there's no trust that the partner, when he or she walks out the door, are going to actually align with the rules of give and take when it comes to this thing. So in the end, I want to sort of elevate our discussion to embrace trust as a critical element for this big word that we've introduced alongside compliance called alignment.
Of course, trust is the most critical thing in leadership. Of course, when I'm being led, I want to be led by someone that I trust. Yes. But at the same time, the person who's leading me needs assurance that I am supported.
Yes, yes.
My leadership is supported because I've got the best interest. And the good thing about the president is that he is keen, to admit mistakes. Even on the issue of the mask, The following day, President was laughing about it, and saying that he's going to start a TV show to teach people how to wear.
Yes.
So you find it very difficult that you can't trust someone like that. Someone who is out in the open to say, I'm human. I also make mistakes.
Even in the last address, he did mention that mistakes have been made in terms of enforcing the alignment to these regulations.
Yes. So basically, for me, that is an easy person to trust. A person that says, I have made an error, maybe I was not transparent as I should have been, but I'm working under pressure. Sometimes I even close my eyes with my mask. I'm working under pressure, but I'm working under pressure because I've got citizens. So for me, his interest for the citizens is not misguided. It's not misplaced. But he seeks the support because he actually trusts us. But do we trust him? How does the society trust the president that he's acting in our best interest?
So if you have a certain section of the population or a certain kind of group of people in the population who do not trust government, would we then say it is unwarranted, given the history of our democratic governance?
In the first place, Coach, this is my view, is that a part of a society or a society is allowed to have different views. If you say you don't trust the president or you don't trust government, my view then is that be informed as much as possible so that you can articulate the parts where it warrants your untrustworthiness, where you say
the source of your mistrust.
That's right. You
said you were in a meeting, you were working late, but then when I called the office, they didn't know where you were.
That's right. Exactly. That kind of a source of mistrust.
Yes.
Where exactly? You can't tell me that you don't trust everything. You can't tell me that you believe that none of these regulations are for our good. You need to pick one and say, you see, when it comes to this is why I don't trust government, because 1 minute they say this, 1 minute they say that. Or when I took them to task, they couldn't give me the full story. So the role of the society in disagreeing or mistrusting government is that they should identify the parts specifically where it creates a gap for them.
Exactly.